WisconsinEye's Campaign 2024 programming is sponsored by Wisconsin Counties Association, Nicolet National Bank, Wisconsin Hospital Association, Operating Engineers Local 139, the Wisconsin Realtors Association, the Wisconsin Laborers District Council, and North Central State's Regional Council of Carpenters. To support programs like this, please consider a tax-deductible donation at wiseye.org/donate or by texting WisEye to 44321.
Jenifer Quimby of Waterloo is the Republican candidate running in the 46th Assembly District. The election is November 5th. Jenifer Quimby, welcome to WisconsinEye.
Thank you.
Thank you for participating in our candidate interview. I want to start by asking you, what's your campaign's key message? Why are you running for this office?
Well, I'm a mayor of a small town. I've been in city politics since 2008, school board for 9 years, and elected mayor in 2019. And just over these last few years, getting deeper and deeper into all things municipality. When this position basically opened up with the new change and there was no incumbent, I thought, what better time than now to run? I'm not trying to kick anybody out or change anything, so I want to learn more. I have deep concerns about all things municipality, so I want to see how I can help our district.
So if elected, what's an example of a bill that you would want to prioritize introducing?
You know, people ask me that. I don't know what bill I'd want to introduce because it's either one maybe I want to change or update or, you know.
Is there a problem you'd like to fix?
Honestly, a lot of it has to do with roads and funding. So it's roads. One example is DOT. I have 2 state highway projects coming through, 3 years apart. Going to cost my city about $2 million for each project. I'll have nothing I can do the other roads. And that is something I get brought up awful lot on Facebook. Why would I vote for you for state assembly when you can't take care of your own roads? I am taking care of our roads. But when the DOT comes through, I don't have a choice. You have to fix it. And I can't leave the infrastructure underneath it. So it would be a way to figure out how can municipalities, because it's not unique to Waterloo. We all have highways coming through our cities. How can we get more aid to assist us through those projects, because everybody drives on those roads. But I know it's going to cost a lot of money, and now the rest of my roads don't get fixed.
If you're elected, you'll be entering the legislature during a biennial budget year,
right,
and there's projected to be over $3 billion in surplus. What would be your priorities for the use of that surplus?
Well, first of all, you want to make sure that whatever our fund balance is, because, you know, the city has a 25 to 33% fund balance. I don't know what the state is, so I mean, surplus is one thing, having a fund balance is another. I'd like to see that come back to the municipalities in a way of more funding for our fire departments. Volunteers are tough. You can't afford to staff every single position. My police department's doing well. We are fully staffed there, so I'm happy about that. But it's the emergency services that are hurting the most right now. So I'd like to see more there.
You didn't mention tax reform, tax cuts. Is that a part of your campaign?
I definitely don't want to raise taxes, so giving money back somehow or keeping things level. I'm not one that like spikes up and downs. I'm not a big fan of raising taxes. I do everything in my power not to raise taxes, to the detriment of sometimes what other people think that I should be doing. But I don't want to raise your taxes, but I do want to fix things, and I do want things to be better for all our municipalities.
So any tax reform that you would be interested in proposing at the state level?
I'd have to know what those are to be able to reform them. I mean, I only see what I see when it comes to my desk, levy limits, state aids. I think the formulas aren't working. You know, we've got our first increase last year for the first time, I think, since 2012. And Waterloo got 95,000. Everybody got a little different number. So that did get us our 3rd full-time fireman. But now here we are. Now I have nothing else I can do.
K-12 education, a leading issue for many voters. I'm sure you hear about that as the mayor of your community. What's the top priority, do you think, for you for K-12 education?
Well, I want to make sure that they have the funding that they need. I'm really tired of all the referendums. I honestly don't know, are they doing referendums because it's poor management, poor aid, don't have the tools? I don't know what every scenario is, but I know people are struggling. People get really tired when the tax bill goes out and they come to the city and complain because the school district just raised their referendums and got more money. I'm not raising your taxes, but it's all the same. I mean, it's all a bucket of taxes. So we all have to work together to try and keep people in our communities and let them be able to afford to live there.
What about higher education? What do you think the future of the state's higher education system looks like, or should look like? 4-year universities, 2-year colleges, the technical college system. Where should the legislature focus?
Well, I graduated in 1980. A few people went to college, not my whole class. Some people went right to the workforce. I mean, jobs were everywhere. Where I live in Waterloo, there was businesses everywhere downtown. So people now are starting to look back at it and go, you know, I should probably go into a trade. I think we've pushed college quite a bit, which is fine, but it's also gotten very expensive, and people come out sometimes with a degree that they'll never use, but they use it for something else. I think the trades are very important. I love the fact that we have a machine shop in Waterloo, Sussex, that works with our, what is it called? It's machining. I'm trying to think of the name of the program that they have. But anyway, they do some teaching with the students. So it's an apprenticeship, but you're still in high school. So I like that. I like those kind of partnerships where businesses can work with the schools and, you know, get people on another path besides just college.
What do you see as the state's largest workforce development challenge, and how would you propose addressing it?
The largest workforce challenge. I honestly don't know, other than everybody wants more money. Everybody wants a higher paying job. I think inflation has put a big damper on a lot of things.
Wages too low?
In some cases, absolutely, yeah. You know, talking minimum wage stuff, I don't know if I'm qualified to really talk about that because I know what that does to small businesses. But I know just in Waterloo, for example, people do shop around. You'll go from one municipality to another, one DPW, one utility. People shop around for that extra dollar here and there. And really all we're doing is robbing from each other. It's that new group that we got to get in so that we all can have the qualified people that we need to run our cities.
Another workforce question. Investments in public and energy infrastructure grow our state's economy. These investments also provide an opportunity to invest in our state's workforce, but currently there are no requirements for hiring local workers. Would you support a state resident hiring requirement for state, local, and utility scale infrastructure investments?
I'm not sure on that one. I honestly would need to see the pros and the cons, because there was a time where you had to be residential to work even as a police officer. You had to be in your municipality or within, then they started opening it up to so many miles. I think the fire department was the same way. If we don't have the people to do it, then you're going to have to go outside for it. So the money is still staying within your still staying in your state. You know, they're going to come in, they're going to work. The taxes are, I think, will stay here. I'm not positive, you know, but I'd have to find out more. I really don't know pros and cons of that.
Sure. Employee classification is an issue in the construction industry. Some employers misclassify workers as independent contractors or pay them in cash off the books. This lowers costs by avoiding payroll taxes and unemployment insurance, and it puts compliant companies at a disadvantage when bidding on projects. Plus, misclassified workers may be denied minimum wage protections or overtime pay. Are you aware of this issue, and what do you think should be done about it?
That isn't anything that I'm aware of, no. I mean, working at the city or working at the business that I'm at, we don't pay anybody in cash. So I'd have to find out more about it, but pretty much everybody should play by the same rules.
Mm-hmm. play by the same rules.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to housing.
Sure.
Affordable rental housing is an issue in Wisconsin. Some have proposed government-imposed rent control to maintain affordability, while others argue keeping rent artificially low will decrease rental supply, resulting in increased prices. What is your sense of housing as an issue, and which best addresses rental housing affordability, rent control or building more rental housing?
Really not a fan of any rent control. I'm not in the business to tell somebody what they need to charge for their apartment or their building. Waterloo is trying to get more housing in it. We're just in this little teeny tiny corner. We had a little housing boom there for a while, 54 homes, and then kind of went stagnant again for a while. But I know the people that come in to try and build, they know what they get in our area. And for me to tell them you have to charge this or somebody else has to charge that, that's not what I think is the right thing to do. I'm not a fan of government dictating stuff like that.
Is there a role for the legislature in increasing or building incentives for rental housing?
Building incentives, yes. Figuring out a way to help some of these builders. I mean, inflation right now is killing so many projects. I mean, some of these that you drive around and see in some of these other municipalities, they're doing fantastic. Lake Mills and Cottage Grove, which were two in our district, those two have the highest new net construction. Everybody else is the same. We're 1% or lower, which all goes to what we can do with our money and what we can do with our people. So I definitely want to see more incentives of how to get people building. We still have transformer issues. We still have some of those problems going on. So even if somebody wants to come in, sometimes it's 2 years before I can get the electrical infrastructure for them. So we still got some shortages out there. So I definitely want to see more in the housing, whether it's housing individually or multifamily.
Transitioning to healthcare. Medical systems facing numerous headwinds in the form of inflation, workforce development, and issues around Medicare and Medicaid reimbursement, resulting in fewer services and even the closure of a hospital system over in western Wisconsin. What would you do to preserve access to care and prevent future closures like this?
I honestly don't know why they closed. I don't know what the whole reason was behind that, so I would definitely have to look, but I know healthcare is crazy expensive. I'm just not a fan of what we have to pay for it either, but Medicare, my mom's on Medicare, and she's got to fight quite a bit to get some of her needs met. I just think overall we don't have as much or as many employees as we used to. I mean, sometimes you have to wait weeks, if not months, to get in to see somebody. So I know we have a shortage, so let's incentivize people to go back into that particular workforce. You go into any hospital and you'll see a lot of empty rooms.
Mental health care, also a growing concern for Wisconsinites and concern for state and county budgets. In your district, what are you hearing about mental health care and how might you address that issue?
It really isn't anything we're talking about at my level at City Hall. I've been going to, of the 19 cities, villages, and townships, I'm going to all their meetings, and at that stage nobody's talking about that, but that doesn't mean it's not happening in the county level or things like that. But I know mental health has become, I don't want to call it a buzzword, but it's definitely something people talk an awful lot more about than they ever did before. There's a lot of stress in the world. Just reading my Facebook before I came here, it's very stressful. The things that people say. And I can see why there's a variety of reasons for mental health. It's not just Facebook by any means, but there's definitely something worth looking at, talking about, and making sure that people have the resources that they need to
Where the legislature
get the help.
Might play a role.
Yeah, and I don't know what they're doing now. I mean, I'm not in there, so I'm just trying to figure this out as you're kind of asking me some of these questions, because that just isn't anything that I've had to deal with so far.
Abortion policy is also a concern for Wisconsinites. How do you think the state should move forward on that issue? Do you support different limits and exceptions to abortion?
Well, the limit right now is 22 weeks.
20 weeks.
Well, it says past 22. No abortion past 22 weeks. So basically 20 weeks. That's halfway through your pregnancy. I prefer the states have more control than the federal government because you have more options in that. But when it comes to abortion, I'm not going to pick and choose who can have one, who can't have one, and what time they can have one. I know I have friends that are both Republicans and Democrats, and when I tell them, did you know the state is 20 weeks? They're like, no. And I said, why are we still fighting about it? They're like, I don't know. And I said, good, because I don't know either. I don't feel any of my rights have been taken away from me. But if you want to make it longer, I might have to have a conversation about that, because I'm not sure why we need to increase it. But if this is where we're at, why are we still talking about it?
You think it's good the way it is?
I don't think we need to keep debating this. I mean, God love the pro-lifers. Believe me, God love ya. But then I also don't want to go to the end, till birth. So 20 weeks, to me, that sounds like a happy medium. I'm not sure why we have to keep talking about it. I'm a woman, but I'll talk about it.
Transitioning to the topic of transportation, you talked a little bit about this.
Yes.
What do you see as the most pressing transportation needs in your district, and how important is it that these are addressed? And also, how important is it for the state to keep on schedule with the reconstruction of our aging interstates and significant commerce travels?
It seems like the municipalities that I've been to so far, mostly townships, they got the same problems we do. They just don't have the sewer and the infrastructure underneath it, but they still have crumbling roads. They still have heavy traffic. I think there's just got to be a better way. And with the cost of fuel and everything right now, I mean, to do a road project is just crazy. But there has to be a better plan to help not just cities, but the municipalities too. Farmers drive on these roads, people drive on these roads. There just has to be a better program. And like I said before, we have 2 state highways coming through. I can't do anything around that because it's just killing me. You have levy limits and expenditure restraints. There's got to be a better way to help when those kind of things happen, but it should be equal to everybody, not just a municipality or just an interstate.
PFAS and other water contaminants are a concern for a growing number of Wisconsinites. Do you see this as an important issue, and how would you address it?
We're putting in a $24 million sewer plant right now. So DNR tells you what you have to fix, and you have to fix it. So I definitely want clean water. Waterloo was very good at eliminating almost all of the lead. We took advantage of a lot of those grants, which is wonderful. Still got a few more popping up, and we've been working with the homeowners to try and make that better. So definitely water, environment is very, very important. It's just expensive, incredibly expensive.
This is the theme here.
Yes, exactly.
Coming to the end of our interview, how would you describe the leading differences between you and your opponent?
I'm going to leave that up to everybody else to decide. We both have different backgrounds. We both come from different areas. I'm not one to ever sling mud or make somebody else look bad. We have a forum coming up in September where we're both going to talk and be in the same building and answer the same questions. And I just want voters to pick who they think is the best person to help them. At City Hall, I deal with Republicans and Democrats. Never once do we wear that emblem on our shirts when we're there. We only have so much money and so many things. So if I'm elected, just like I am there, I don't work for a party. I work for the municipalities. I work for District 46, and that's what I want to do. Whether it's a Democrat idea or a Republican idea, if it's a good idea, it's a good idea.
Last question. If you're elected and you have a magic wand, you can wave over the state capitol and bring just one issue to resolution. What that in a way that brings people together, like you were just saying, what would that issue be?
Probably abortion, because that gets the most attention. It may not be the top problem. I mean, that doesn't rank high on my priorities, but it's a very touchy subject that we have to get a handle on and just agree on something. I mean, we can say that about anything. We just got to figure out a way, how do we agree on things and get things solved? But that one is a very touchy one. And I would like to see us come together, come to a happy resolution.
All right. Jenifer Quimby from Waterloo is the Republican candidate in the 46th Assembly District. The election is November 5th. Jenifer Quimby, thank you for coming to WisconsinEye.
Thank you very much.
This programming is brought to you by our generous sponsors. Thank you for watching.